And joining us now to talk about the impact of the president's budget bill on our children, the ones who can't yet vote, Kevin Roach of the Methodist Children's Home Society of Michigan. Kevin, welcome to the Pulse.
Hey, thanks for having us.
Glad to have you here. So first and foremost, let everyone know at home what your organization does.
Yeah, really quickly, Methodist Children's Home Society, we go by MCHS, Family of Services, and we provide an array of programs and services for some of Michigan's most vulnerable children and families, whether that's housing, child welfare, education, mental health, and a broad base of community-based programs and services.
So with this bill, or with the administration that's now in office, how have you all been impacted?
Oh, where do we start here on this end? You know, it's something that we've been paying close attention to, right, since the day of his inauguration, even listening to the number of campaign pledges that he was certainly speaking to. It's certainly something that has been on the radar, not only for myself, but really the entire nonprofit sector, and whether that's in the arts side of things or serving and protecting animals, or certainly the work that we do with children and families, it's certainly something that we've been paying close attention to and navigating, right, whether it was some of the funding freezes or some of the executive orders that were coming through. Certainly for us, as we were advocating strongly for protecting the best interests of those that we serve, we've been paying very close attention to H.R. 1 and seeing the impact that it's certainly going to have on not only those that we serve, but really all of Michiganders.
Yeah. Look, there's a lot of talk in Washington, there's a lot of talk on social media about, you know, making sure our children are in the best position possible. You guys help out with that. But let's talk about the impact first that this may have on migrant children, because immigration continues to be a hot topic issue.
It is, and certainly we know that one of the pillars of not only his campaign, but several executive orders that he has issued, but certainly with H.R. 1, certainly increasing those resources, whether it is to immigration enforcement and trying to resolve things at the border and making them more secure, to, of course, cutting off legal services for those who are in this country. The work that we do in serving unaccompanied children, which is through the Office of Refugee Resettlement Services, is certainly something that we've been paying close attention to, right? For the last couple of years, we serve approximately 300 unaccompanied children on an annual basis. And by all intents and purposes, right, we know that immigrants add tremendous value to our country, add tremendous value to the communities that they belong to. And in our particular case, having spoken with so many, certainly on the front lines, we know that in many ways they are contributing successful members. And for them to be nervous, for them to be scared, for them to try to reconcile this notion of what this country is compared to what they're seeing in reality, certainly has them on heightened alert. H.R. 1 was devastating in many ways because it zeroed out items related to legal services and refugee resettlement services, but certainly they kept other programs intact. And what will be interesting to see is certainly how they begin to allocate those dollars. There's a little bit less in that budget to, once again, is there going to be a greater focus on the safety and security on the borders, or is it really going to truly be to serve these children and families who, once again, were pursuing the same dreams that our past generations have been pursuing?
Look, we also have about 9,000 or so foster children in Michigan. Is it the same kind of conversation and the same kind of worry that you have for children in the system as well?
I think in some ways that's a little bit different, right? Because when we are working and serving these children in the foster care system, they don't operate in a vacuum, right? There's so many touch points for these children. And when we think about what's the #1 reason why children enter into the system, it's due to neglect, right? And we associate that with poverty. We associate that with housing issues. We associate that with education and medical, right? And what we do know is, as outlined in H.R. 1, the big, beautiful bill, is that it's going to make it a little bit tougher, right, to better serve these young people who are in the system. But second to that, certainly for them to be able to access those necessary resources on that end, and whether that's on the physical health or behavioral health and mental health side of things, or whether it's certainly on what happens when they age out of the system and when they need that little extra support, whether it is because of food security issues or because of housing issues. We know that once again in this bill, and we're still going to truly we're still studying and to see really the true impact that all of this is going to have in the upcoming year. It just seems to have gotten a lot tougher for this group.
Look, I want to ask you this because not only you're part of this organization, you're also a dad.
Yeah.
So how do you approach these situations knowing that you have a lot of children whose future it may be in a period of uncertainty?
You know, that question that I think was asked several elections ago, right? Are you better off now than you were earlier, right? And we even asked that question in the 2024 election. I mean, that's the question that's front and center, not only for the 3 children that I have, but the thousands that we care for at MCHS, and wanting to preserve and protect, right? Whether it is access to quality health care, whether it's receiving those mental health services, whether it's having affordable housing, right? Or whether it is, once again, if you have a child with a disability, or if you have a child with special education learning needs, right? We know that as a country and even as a state, more needs to be done to go in the right direction to once again lift up everybody as opposed to leaving some of them behind.
Kevin Roach, I appreciate it, man. Thank you so much for being here on the poll.